as possible. First of all, Dean Sutherland of Cook Commons kind of gave me the idea, or encouraged the idea in the first place, and pointed me in the right direction. And Greg Vitterchick of the music department approved the project and gave me encouragement throughout. And Anne Chabot, who's the music department coordinator, helped arrange this concert and get everything set up. Pete Sutherland, my advisor, and who will be accompanying me today on piano, has worked with me this entire semester. Yes. Special collections folks, Joseph, Danielle, and Rebecca were of great help when I was digging through the archives down in special collections. And finally, my parents, who drove me to fiddle lessons for 10 years. Drove all the way through Vermont from day to day to see these concerts. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Flanders collection, I imagine there are a few in this crowd. It's a collection of traditional songs and ballads and fiddle tunes that is now held at special collections at Middlebury. And the way it came about, in the 1930s, there was a lady named Helen Hartness Flanders who was hired by the state of Vermont to go around and collect these traditional tunes. Because at the time, there were a lot of these small towns in Vermont and around New England were starting to get electricity, and with electricity came the radio, and the radio became popular music. So there was a distinct danger of some of these traditions dying out. So Helen Hartness Flanders traveled all over New England from 1930 to 1958, I believe, and collected these traditional tunes and songs. And in 1941, she donated the collection to Middlebury College, which I'm really happy about because I got to do this really neat project. So my project focuses on the fiddle tunes in the collection, of which I will be performing a few for you today, right now. I'm going to start off with a couple of reels. One of them is actually a quadrille, played by a guy named, originally played by a guy named Harry Wass, who was from Maine, actually. He was a lobsterman in saltwater farmer down in, way down east in Addison, Maine. And this was recorded in August of 1942, I think, when he was in his 80s at the time, so pretty old dude. And the other tune is called French Four, played by a guy named Luther Weeks, who is from Springfield, Vermont. So, Pete, shall we? Sure thing. Yeah. There's no doubt that. The second tune I'm going to play is a pretty interesting one. This is probably the only example in the collection of a fiddle tune that's been adapted from a piece of classical music. It was taken from a quadrille called Cluster of Pearls, which was actually written in 1881, I think. This guy, Will Ayer, who was from Fitchburg, Massachusetts, I guess found it and adapted it for fiddle. It was originally written for violin, piccolo, and cornet, I believe. So yeah, interesting take, but it's almost note for note the same song. So yeah, shall we? Yeah. Yeah, so the third set that I'm going to play, I'm going to be playing solo actually. It's kind of an interesting set. The first tune, they were both originally recorded by a guy named Elmer Barton, who's from Queechee, Vermont. That's how it's pronounced. He actually did a lot of songs for the Hartness collection. And the first tune is interesting in that it kind of sounds like it's a combination of possibly several tunes, and that the A and B parts are very distinct styles. The A part has a very French-Canadian feel to it, and the B part has a lot of Southern elements. Second tune is just plain weird. Most fiddle tunes are based on an 8 or 16 or 32 bar structure. This one has 34 beats in the A part and 54 beats in the B part. And when I was going through the recordings, a lot of these recordings are in pretty rough condition, and this one was damaged, unfortunately, so I was only able to hear the B part once. He played the song through twice, but I only heard the B part once. And so it's hard for me to tell whether he was making mistakes there or doing a little, taking some creative license, or if that's the way the song actually is. So I'm going to play it like it's like he plays it on the recording. And yeah, hope you enjoy. recorded by Will Ayer, who also played a cluster of pearls, which I played earlier. And jigs are pretty highly underrepresented in the Flanders collection. It seems that they weren't as popular at the time as they are today. But nonetheless, these are pretty cool ones. One's called The Land of Sweet Erin. The other one is unnamed in the recording. You can hear Fiddle or Will Ayer. He's kind of grumbling away. It's like, now I'm going to play an old tune, and it's so old it's forgotten its own name. It's the old Irish thing that's forgotten its own name. Repeat. I'm going to play one more set of tunes for you guys today. These are two old breakdowns by a guy named Grant Thomas, who was from Waterville, Vermont. And both of them are unnamed on the Flanders recordings. One of them sounds strikingly like a tune known as The Green Fields of America. And I've heard that the other one has been recorded by a well-known French-Canadian fiddler named Jean Kernion under the name Courteau Blanc, but I've yet to find the recording. Anyway. Thanks so much for coming. This was awesome. You did a really good concert. I would be happy to take some questions now. Anyone who's curious about anything that I played, or about me, or about the day.
I'm a music major, and I'm really interested in how people go about recreating these types of things. So what was your process? Did you transcribe things down and then learn them from there, or did you just learn them by ear?
Right, I learned them by ear,
Okay.
which was mostly straightforward. In some cases, it was more difficult because the recordings were fairly heavily damaged, or they had been recorded at a certain speed and then played back and digitized at a different speed, so the pitch was different. And you'd have to really detect that, you have to listen to open notes that get drummed in during tune. And then you can say, oh, it's off by a half step or a whole step, and then bring it down to the original pitch that was played in. So it's a lot of work, but worth it.
That was the question I was going to ask, but are there any transcriptions of these, or are they only in audio form?
I know there's one transcription of one of the songs which Pete has done, but other than that, they're only in audio form. And most of the songs in the collection are fiddle tunes that are fairly well known today. I really was after the less well known fiddle tunes, but a lot of the songs you could find sheet music for today.
I just want to know how many fiddle tunes are there in the whole collection?
Several hundred in the collection. I think there's 4,800 recordings total, including songs and ballads, but yeah.
If you're working without sheet music, how would you coordinate with the piano? Did you both have to do basically block it together?
No. I mean, you just have a good piano player.
I'm a fiddle player too, it helps.
So, they have fairly basic chord structures. Andy?
Milo, can you describe to us a little bit what kind of setting these tunes were originally played?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. So a lot of them would have been played as dance tunes, because it was a huge form of entertainment back in the day, going after dance. And a lot of them were played as dance tunes, but some of them definitely evolved to be more, sitting around the kitchen fire tunes, and lost sort of that regular structure. When I was talking about cricket tunes earlier, those have really evolved away from the dance floor and more just into personal entertainment. So, yeah.
Milo, you get an opportunity to play with other fiddle players and bring these traditions together?
Yeah, there's a camp in Maine, a music camp called Maine Fiddle Camp that I've attended and cooked for and taught at for many years. So I'd like to go there this summer and teach a specialty workshop on tunes from this collection. Eli?
Do you see any? So you haven't seen any overlap between the tunes that you originally learned, the typical Maine fiddle music, and what you learn now?
Oh, there's a lot of overlap
Okay.
between traditional Maine fiddle music and what's in the collection. Yeah, throughout New England too. Parker?
So how did you choose the pieces out of all of the fiddle recordings that there were? Why did you choose these in particular?
They were unknown. They were wicked cool. I really enjoyed playing them. They also represent a kind of range of styles and a range of fiddlers too. Linda?
I know that there's been a similar search for old fiddle tunes that come out of West Virginia, Appalachia, and that area, and the National Library has done a lot to record and preserve them. Do you know if there's been any outreach to take these tunes and make sure they're also preserved, not just here, but on a more national level?
Yeah, so the Special Collections actually has a grant, has gotten a grant the past couple of years to digitize this collection, because a lot of the tunes are in really early recordings with wax cylinders, which aren't going to stick around for long on a hot day. And there's some aluminum acetate discs, which I had no idea existed until I started this research, and reel-to-reel tapes. But now all the fiddle tunes I played have been digitized, which was really helpful to be able to circle through. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, there is.
There's a duplicate of the collection at the Library of Congress.
Oh, good.
Deb, am I right? Is it the whole collection?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, so it would include the fiddles. So that means it is a little more accessible then. Not everybody has to come to Middlebury.
So I'll stay here though. Anyone else? We go.
Are you planning on recording the tunes at some point?
So glad you asked. I already have made some recordings of them, and I'm going to publish a website, hopefully by the end of the week, with some of these recordings. It will be at hhfcfiddle.wordpress.com. If not, just find me and ask me, and I'll send you a link at some point. Anyone else? Great.
When's the
Thanks.
recording going to be posted on YouTube?
Possibly.
I just want to mention that, as far as I can tell, he's the first undergrad to ever do this at Middlebury.
Well, thanks so much for coming out. There were some delicious refreshments over in that corner. I'd love to stick around and talk to you all. And yeah, have a good evening.